This is the Gumad Angel Orsini, and you're watching BJ and DG Talk Wrestling on YouTube and Twitch. Forget about it.
Welcome back, everybody. BJ over here, DG over there.
What is going on, everyone?
Nothing
Boy,
down.
I feel like I say this every week, but especially this week, what a week for wrestling just in general. From even the indie stuff that me and myself, BJ, attended this week, all the way to last night and John Cena's final match. So,
Yeah, lot to take in, lot to talk about.
yeah, so let's ring this bell and get it started.
Wow, everything last night surrounding Cena was so beautifully done. Everything was amazing. Heard a lot of people complaining on social media. You know, they should have done this. My opinion.
You're going in and out, and I can't really hear you. But yeah, what a night last night. It was overall just an amazing show for what they did last night. And even the last time we had done something for like Saturday night's main event, we've had full criticism of it last night. And for last night, what I think many of us are considering probably the last thing WWE wise, PLE, or Saturday night's main event to be seen on Peacock, it was a great way to go out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolute right call. Haven't seen a tap.
I mean, I agree with that as well wholeheartedly. I feel like there was no other way for it to end. Despite the criticism of the fans live at that event that felt like they got robbed of a moment, you know, and I'm going to be honest about something real quick before we talk about the match. A lot of the chants and stuff last night after the match directed mostly at Triple H, you know, and that the fans got hostile enough that security had to make sure they were with Gunther for him to leave and not get messed with. You know,
That's
like
ridiculous.
it is. And it should be more respect of the moment. You disagree with the booking, fine. Just remember, it was Cena's choice.
Yeah.
He said it himself that he's had full control of all this and that he would do whatever was right for business as well. You know, even if that meant agreeing to doing the heel turn, that never really worked out. But in the end, it wasn't about that. Nothing was about The Rock. It was about Cena himself. And this is coming from a person who was never necessarily the biggest Cena fan. I always enjoyed his matches, and I've always respected him as a person for what he did outside of the business.
Of course.
What is it, something like 650 plus Make-A-Wishes granted? Like, that's insane. Like, I've heard guys on Busted Open, like Mark Henry, who was doing the Make-A-Wish stuff, and he's like, I could only do it for a limited time because it broke my heart every time. And for Cena to continuously do that.
I'm also
go ahead.
Super disappointed last night that Mark Henry did not wear his salmon jacket.
Because then we would have made it about the salmon jacket. All right, let's be perfectly honest here. But there was a lot of good that happened last night. And that's from Obafemi and Cody kicking off the show, which was an absolutely amazing match. And anybody who wholeheartedly would disagree with me about Tara, how you doing? Nice to see you.
There?
That would disagree with me about Obafemi not being able to hang on the main roster, considering he's only been in wrestling for 3 years, and we've seen how far he has come in a short time. You know?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like, we had a conversation earlier today where you were one of the people who, when I said Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi, wasn't necessary with it. And now all of a sudden you look at him and Cody, they're almost the same build. Cody a little bit thinner and not as much muscle, but you're telling me that you would have just put on a graphic face to face or have a face off in a ring that Obafemi and Brock Lesnar match wouldn't draw? Obafemi is getting the Goldberg treatment and somebody who deserves it when he comes out and the fans chant his name.
My thing is, it wasn't that it wouldn't draw, it was that their careers aren't going to match up in that way. Or if they do, it's not going to be for long. They're not going to have much crossover.
No. The crossover would literally be the build up to a match at WrestleMania. But we could talk more about that later. Sol Ruca and Bayley, absolutely great match. As I have named them, AJ Styles and Dragon Lee, I've coined them Dragon Style in my head. So that is their No. If AJ Lee wasn't back, that would be the canon name for me. But in my head, the canon name is Dragon Style.
They're the original AJ Lee.
And them and Javon Evans and Leon Slater, absolutely great match. It was something special, even in a tag team format, to see the original X Division champion in TNA in the same match with the current X Division champion in Leon Slater. And also, just to make it clear, outside of a PLE, Leon Slater made history last night, being the first TNA champion to be featured on a show that's not a PLE or pay-per-view, per se. Even if it's a special like Saturday Night's Main Event. I love the Miz segment with R-Truth and Joe Hendry.
Yeah, that was really good stuff.
Yeah. But what we should really start talking about now is how much I will say the man, the legend, never seen 17, John Cena's final match. And we won't see him again. Which, that is on camera as me doing that. And part of me just died in the process doing that, out of respect to John. But if you're a wrestling fan or somebody that works in any aspect of the business, you have to acknowledge what John Cena did for the business. Even when he debuted at the heights of it, where we were still kind of in that Rock and Austin phase, and we were slowly phasing out of that, to the god-awful beginning of the PG era, which, the booking of Cena was part of that, but in the end, those were all the moments that made his career. You didn't have to be a fan of him to sit there and be like, every time he went out there, as JBL would put it, big match John Cena. Because when all the lights are on him, it was like Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. We're talking about a guy who has 100 pay-per-view /PLE wins. I do believe that's correct, or at least its appearances, one or the other, which is absolutely insane. 23-year career. Done it all. And this match with Gunther was absolute storytelling. Starting on Monday Night Raw with him saying he's going to tap out John Cena. He's going to do what nobody else was able to do. And the man did it.
Yeah, Gunther's no joke. You know what I mean? Like, he retired Goldberg. He's just he's the perfect heel for this situation.
And it's not even that. Like, we saw during that match Cena slowly evolve into Super Cena, right? Like, as the match is going on, we have all these AAs. We have the STF. We have an Avalanche AA. We have an AA through the announce table, which that was one of the things that kind of disappointed me was while I was watching it, I was like, one more time, Cena has to have him up on his shoulders and walk up the steps to hit the AA. You know, but the way they did it was just fine. It was just what I would have wanted to see one more time. We've talked about on this show all year that I doubt this was John Cena's last match. I 98% step back on that. I do believe this was John Cena's last match. But at the same time, there will always be that part of me that believes he'll get some type of WrestleMania moment. And one of those short type things just so that he goes out on top. As that last thing, but it's a match that's not a match type thing. But I thought the match was absolutely beautiful. It had me paying attention to it the entire time.
Yeah, I was normally when I'm watching wrestling, I'm checking my phone, I'm on my iPad, but I was just eyes locked on the screen the whole time. This was something that I couldn't miss.
And another criticism I've seen is the finish of the match. You know, and most times you don't really get a good shot of people's faces during a finish, or you're not looking for it, so you see it after. That Cena smiled right before as he was tapping out. And you know what? So what? It's that moment like he knew he's not Super Cena was defeated. We got the moment.
I interpreted that smile as like, this is it. I can be done with this. It's all over right now.
Yeah.
You know?
But anything less than stuff being respectful to everything of the moment. I absolutely loved the video package at the end. Because
very good.
It really looked like he did not know that was coming. And it was just beautiful. You know, I've seen videos of fans recording themselves watching it crying. Like, and these are, now granted, I've had close to those moments, like when Triple H had to retire. You know, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. Guys I watched my entire life. You know, and I feel like now with Cena actually, this being his last actual match and him being done, we're in the midst of the changing of the guard. Truly now. It is now time for... Roman's going to be walking away in a couple years. Rumor has it Brock doesn't have much time left. That SummerSlam could be his swan song.
Punk is getting older every day.
But Punk did say on the post show last night he has no plans on retiring anytime soon. We have AJ Lee.
You don't have to have
AJ
plans
Styles
in wrestling. You don't have to have plans to retire.
But Punk, given the fact Punk did take like close to a decade off, there's probably enough gas left in that tank still.
Yeah.
The bump, taking 7 to 10 years away from bumping all the time really extends that bump card.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Even so, I mean, he's over 50, I believe. Like,
no, he's in his 40s, I believe.
Is he?
I will look that up real quick. 47.
Okay. Well, even so, like,
so
getting close.
Even then, I still give him another 3 years before 2 to 3 years before we're talking about that retirement angle. But just in the long run, the match was absolutely great. Both guys looked absolutely amazing in the match.
Yeah.
Like, we had every single callback for a Cena match that we needed. And I'm just going to say this now. I know we usually save this for the end of the show. And I saw some great matches this week for mainstream wrestling. my match of the week is Cena and Gunther. I love the smile before he taps because it did, as you said, seem like he knew he was done. And that's a moment to where he smiled and he was happy at that point that he went out there and took it to Gunther. There was no shame, even if this wasn't his last match, that he lost to Gunther.
I mean, the storytelling in this match storytelling in matches is something I like to talk about a lot. But it was amazing. Like, it was very well done. Everything down to the smile and tap.
And as I was going to saying about the smiling thing, if you go back and watch the end of Cody and Roman in Philly at WrestleMania, you see Roman with a big smile on his face with his shoulders on that mat. There is just something to say that there's moments where you're just happy. Like you're proud of what you just accomplished. And Cena should be proud of not just what he accomplished over this year with this run and the amount of great matches he had and the moments he gave the fans. And the moments that unfortunately we weren't able to get. Like, I would have loved to see him and Adam Copeland one more time.
Him and Joe Hendry would have been great.
Oh, I was politicking for that all year.
Yeah. And as we know now, his name was in Nick Aldis's bowl.
They just had to get that segment. They just had to get one more R-Truth ball joke out there.
Well, you had to have Ron Cena out there. He had to make an appearance. Come on, he was a big part of John Cena's last year. His childhood hero.
And there was something really special. So after the match, the whole locker room comes out. They surround the ring. Yeah, we have Cody and Punk handing him the belts out of respect, and he does poses with them facing each side of the ring. He eventually gives them back. He goes to Triple H, handshake, hug. The video package plays, which, by the way, credit to WWE for putting that video package together.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful video package.
Yeah.
And then we get to the post show. And as the post show is starting, they eventually clip to the ring. We still see Cody Rhodes standing there, looking at Cena's Converses or whatever, and just taking in the moment. You see that Jey Uso was speaking to him, asking him if it was okay. Jackie Redmond just went over to him live with the camera and started speaking to him. This interview was not planned by any means. And you could see the weight of the moment on Cody Rhodes. And that's something I will always give guys credit for, because that's not kayfabe. That's real. That's somebody that Cody, when he was his first run in WWE, he worked with Cena, And literally, the American Nightmare WWE playbook has been the John Cena playbook. There's no doubt about that in my mind. And that shows the impact Cena has had. That how many guys can we name that once they became babyface, never went back the opposite way?
True. Yeah.
Cena made a career of being the babyface. Some people might say for the 80s it was Hogan, right? And other eras. But nobody is the babyface that John Cena was. Which was what led to Let's Go Cena, Cena Sucks chants.
Right.
Which honestly made watching wrestling and seeing a torn crowd like that. That's something I love to see. And it's a respect thing. Same thing with Kurt Angle. The fans.
Yeah.
If Kurt Angle were to walk out for a match right now, his music hits. What's that crowd chanting?
You suck. You suck.
And now it's like a sign of respect now.
Yeah.
And it was a sign of respect to Cena of the Let's Go Cena, Cena Sucks chants. And some of the best matches of his career, like him and Umaga. A match that Umaga should have beaten him for the WWE Championship.
Well, there's a lot of matches out there that John Cena should have lost, but for one reason or another, that's not how it happened. Nexus comes to mind.
I agree. I agree with that, but I think even more that he should have been wearing a Nexus shirt. He should have been doing all those things, you know. His feuds with CM Punk over the years. Their Money in the Bank 2011 match, where CM Punk leaves with the WWE Championship.
Right.
Let's not forget, John Cena was also the victim of the original Money in the Bank cash-in from Edge / Adam Copeland. Another absolutely memorable moment.
Just so many.
You know, to the moments he had with a Triple H, a Shawn Michaels, the match in London, the hour-long match between Cena and Michaels. What was that? After WrestleMania or right before WrestleMania? I forget the timing of it. Comment in the chat. Wrestling is broken. It will never be like the Attitude Era or Summer of Punk. The great Saint B. No, you don't replace the. You never replaced it. That's like saying, you know, replacing Hulk Hogan. You don't replace a personality like that, or a personality like The Rock or Austin. They're legends. You're not going to replace them, because replacing them means you're kind of, in my head, you're putting them in somebody in those same shoes. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I was just gonna say, like, I don't know, it might be nostalgia glasses, like, because the Attitude Era, like, yeah, it was a little bit better, but if you go back and watch, I feel like, you know, so much has happened since then that you'll look back on that and it's not gonna be what you remember.
No. So I've gone back and watched a lot of that. And no, I do agree with that. Some things do come off differently now. But also, when I go back and watch that stuff, I also all of a sudden back in that state I was when I was 14, 15, 16 years old. Seeing it again for almost not for the first time again, because it's been so, because I've seen them on YouTube clips. Not watching the build to the moment that even made it more special, you know.
Right.
As I said starting off the show, I believe we are in a passing of the torch era kind of phase now, where we're going to see guys like Dominic get the opportunity to step up. We're going to see some of these other guys now that are young and up and coming. We're going to see Braun Breaker probably facing CM Punk at WrestleMania in one way or another.
Well, we're getting that next month, right?
Yeah. Sir or ma'am, I don't want to assume your gender, but you may have just made the Comment Hall of Fame with that.
Yeah, no, I'm just picturing like a Jedi death where you just see his jorts left in the ring. Like, yeah, no, that would have been perfect, but, you know, hard to pull off.
I feel like now that we should somehow go back and edit that and make it a meme. He smiles, taps out, and just fades to black. And just fades.
Yeah, like Yoda's death, you know? Just kind of, his clothes just collapse. Oh, man, put that back up.
Which, by the way, this is going to live forever now with us. I wish I uploaded the photo on here. If you go look at my Instagram, at the Danger Ginger 1, or the BJDG Talk Wrestling Instagram, I posted a photo after his match last night just saying thank you. And it was a photo that I personally took from the 2018 Royal Rumble. He was in green at that time, just to You know, he was one of his green gimmick shirts at the time. But in the end, I know we have a lot more to talk about still.
Yes.
But we kind of figured this would happen. Was it shocking to see John Cena tap out? Yes. And that's the point. And it could have been anybody that uses a submission hold in that match. I think Cena taps out. Would it have, because, all right, I asked this question. What's more impactful at this point being the last match? That Gunther does beat him by submission, but he passes out to the sleeper hold? Or that he just taps out and does the one thing he never did in his entire career?
I mean, honestly, it would have made more sense if he passed out. That's why it's a big deal that, like, he didn't. He tapped.
Yeah, and just the smile on his face was almost like he knew it was done. You know, he knew it was time to tap out.
It was a smile of relief, but at the same time, just content.
And look at it from this point of view. It's not only the end of the match, it's the end of his career.
Yeah.
So let's really look at it and go back to 2002. That man came out, confronted Kurt Angle, said ruthless aggression, and slapped Kurt Angle across the face, and then Kurt Angle made him look like $1 million. And then John Cena almost lost his job after that, until somebody heard him freestyling in the back of the bus, I think in one of their Iraq tribute to the troops tours.
Yeah, that was Stephanie.
Yeah, and then the next thing we know, we get this heel hip-hop version of John Cena, the chain gang whole thing. And then he adopts the AA after his feud with Brock at that point. You got the F5, well, I got the FU. Which eventually, as I said, becomes the AA. And just going through the years of matches, whether it's Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Umaga, Roman Reigns, I think he had Edge. Even recently with Dom. His feud with AJ Styles, CM Punk. Like, whether you're a fan or not, he's been a part of plenty of moments that deserve to be talked about. And something we'll circle back around later to is 23-year career, guaranteed Hall of Famer for as comes to John Cena. Is John Cena now on the pro wrestling Mount Rushmore as one of the 4 greats to ever do it? That's something I'd like to come back around to later. But so a little food for thought for you. I don't know if you heard me there because you did get up. Does John Cena belong on the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling? Don't answer now. We'll circle back around to it. But for now, let's talk about Oba Femi and Cody Rhodes. Which, if we had an episode last week, we were talking about this earlier in the day after you did your brunch with BJ on your BJ Drinks Beer YouTube channel, which you should go subscribe to that if you are a drinker of adult beverages. They're a good time. As a good amount of the time lately, it's also been both of us doing that. And I don't really drink all that much personally, but I sit back and I do enjoy the content. And I enjoy being able to help out with that and provide to the conversation when I have something relative to provide. So go give that a sub as well at BJ Drinks Beer. YouTube, Instagram. But yeah, Oba Femi, Cody Rhodes. Another match on this card I think was booked perfectly.
Yeah. You knew neither one was going to take the pin.
But we did speak about this earlier. The match ends in a no contest. Because Drew McIntyre comes in and attacks Cody, which that was what they showed on screen after the show. as the final ruling was a no contest. I guess disqualification wins, unless it provides to storyline, aren't considered anymore. That's like, okay, just real quick. WWE, can we get some consistency? Hold on, I have to play the graphic, and I'm going to have to bring my cam back up. All right. Oh, well, wrong thing. There we go. All right. Hold on, where is it? WWE. Bookers, agents, whatever. You know, I typically don't go on rants about you, but I do have one issue with the John Cena match from last night. And that's this. There's a point where Cena is in the sleeper hold by Gunther, right? And when we've seen this spot any other time where somebody's arm gets raised, the match ends after the arm drops for the first time. And I understand, story narrative, Cena was going to tap out to end the match, right? So why even do that spot and have the referee raise his arm 3 bloody times?
I thought that was the more common thing.
It was one of those annoying things to me, to where across the board now, we see, I will say even in AEW or TNA now, even. It's kind of become a common thing to where somebody's in a sleeper hold. They only raise the arm once now.
Yeah, in AEW and TNA, New Japan counts the 20 for countout. You know, like
no. But I'm saying even WWE has, with some of Gunther's when he beat LA Knight, the arm was only raised once out of the sleeper hold. They didn't raise it 3 times to call for the bell. Consistency. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
In the end, it did not take away anything from me. But in that split moment, it took me out the moment because I'm like, really? I'm going full-blown Miz, like, really? Really? This is what we're doing? Really?
I don't know. I feel like that's the standard, and if they do a 1-arm raise, it's like, they're out.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, if you're going to do the gimmick, it has to be one or the other. If you're going to do the arm raise, it should be 3 arm raises. That's what it was 30 years ago. That's what it was 20 years ago. It's like in the past. I can see
a case for the 1 arm being enough in certain situations. Like if the ref deems that the guy is totally out, and they have to like.
All right, so then you raise the arm 3 times, it drops 3 times, you end the match.
If it's a matter of like the guy being totally out and in kayfabe, like the ref like saving this guy's life, then once is enough.
All right, so then in that case, it should be said the referee ended the match to protect the person after the 1 arm raise. If you're going to do it just in story, you're going to remind fans that, hey, this is still a thing when we want to do it. Because we've seen guys not fully out, but their arm drops once, and that's it. It's just one of those things to where it's the slight imperfection in what was nearly a perfect main event last night for me. And again, my match of the week still. It's booking consistency that if you're going to do it to everybody else with 1 arm, then why even do it to begin with? But I understand in the case it was the lead up to the tap out. So it made sense in booking narrative of the story. But when you look at the overall product of the past, let's just say this year, how many times have you seen that this year? And just WWE.
Trying to think back, but like, have we seen that on a PLE or has it just been on TV?
Across the board. But we also don't see too many guys use sleeper holds and chokeouts no more, which is something that makes it even more special that Gunther did what he did. And Cena was in that sleeper for a long time, fighting out of it just to get back into it. But anyway, excuse my rant there. Back to Oba and Kobe. Your thoughts on this match?
I actually only caught bits. I was still at work. I got home right before the Cena match started. So I only saw like I turned it on long enough to see that it wasn't the Cena match starting the show, and then I wasn't really able to tune in. I maybe saw 30 seconds of the match, so I didn't. Everything I know about the matches, I found out through other means.
Yeah, they really matched up really well and really took it to each other. I thought they told a fantastic story. If we had had a show this week, I'm going to be honest, and we had done predictions for this, I would have called a no contest.
Yeah, looking at the match, Cody, Cody's not taking a pin, and right now Oba they're trying to build, so he's not going to lose clean.
But I think Cody would have been willing to take the pin.
Yeah, but I think it's also
it would have been counterproductive at the moment.
Yeah, where it's like you're not really. Yeah. All right, DG's having a coughing fit. There we go.
Yep. It would have been completely counterproductive to have one of them take the pinfall. But in the idea of the whole no contest thing, you still could have had Drew interfere and set up Oba the win so that Cody doesn't look weak in the loss.
Yeah. And
but at the same time,
getting a clean victory.
Yeah, but he also doesn't have to see the interference. Cody could have hit a Cody cutter off and had him down. Referees checking on him. Drew interferes. Oba gets up, hits the power bomb, 1, 2, 3, and has no idea what happened until he looks over and realizes Drew's at ringside.
But they made the right call.
Oh no, I agree as well, because your NXT champion just took Cody Rhodes to the limit and probably would have won that match the way it was looking. I'm watching it and I'm waiting for the triple crossroads.
The super finisher.
Yeah, I was waiting for it. Oh, that is awesome. Absolutely amazing.
I like the sound of that.
We appreciate all our fans out there. But I was honestly, the first time early, I think it was Friday night, we saw them have a face-off with each other. And when I saw them standing in the ring with each other, I'm like, oh man, this is a better matchup just visually.
Right.
Seeing them next to each other.
Yeah, on paper,
just like when I didn't know I wanted Oba Femi and Drew McIntyre until last night. Like, I have a list of matches for Oba Femi. Like, I want to see Oba Femi in Solo. I want to see Oba Femi and Drew. I want to see Oba Femi and Gunther. I want to see Oba Femi and Cody again.
Bring back Omos. Have them be a Nigerian tag team and just destroy everyone.
No, you have Oba Femi destroy Omos.
Oh yeah.
No, hold on.
When it comes to that.
So, real quick, so I know I've been talking a lot about Oba Brock. I want to see this match before Brock's done. So what if that was like a one-off match on the way back? Somebody Brock Lesnar has beaten. Because think about it. Oba has now taken Cody Rhodes to the limit and never got to finish the match. Somebody that has defeated Brock Lesnar, right? Somebody Brock Lesnar has defeated in Omos, have Oba Femi just squash him.
Yeah.
Like, have Oba Femi start running through some of the guys that Brock Lesnar has defeated, who are still around. I do not include Kofi on that list. Just because that was BS. To be perfectly honest. I really hate that Kofi lost the title like that to him.
Yeah, that was.
But if it has to happen, I understand. There aren't really too many guys left in WWE that have defeated Brock Lesnar, huh? Or that has taken it to the limit. Undertaker's gone.
Right.
Cena's gone now. I would have. John Cena a couple years ago against Obafemi, I would have loved to see. I thought Obafemi would have been perfect as somebody else you really pass that torch to. Imagine the NXT champion had beaten John Cena in his final match. Imagine the almost a different conversation we're having now. But then, does that mean Obafemi's like? Did he just destroy his glass ceiling too soon?
It does kind of come off that way to me.
Or does that raise the level that there's something bigger meant for him? You know, kind of like Brock Lesnar his first year running through the roster, beating RVD at King of the Ring to become King of the Ring, and then beating The Rock less than, 6 months later, becoming WWE Champion at SummerSlam 2002?
I mean, right now and probably forever, Oba's no Brock. So, I mean, he's definitely not going to be booked like that.
So, if you were going to start, say, right now, booking toward WrestleMania, right? And say that Obafemi Brock Lesnar was what you had penciled in.
I wouldn't have that penciled in.
But, what if? Come on. Play along here. Have some fun. Who are some of the names along the way between now and we say Royal Rumble? So 7 weeks from now, we're going to be at the Royal Rumble. 6 weeks, something like that.
Yeah.
And let's say we're going to build up to the moment that Obafemi not only eliminates Brock Lesnar, but does it in a dominant fashion. Like, he's actually, like, power bombs him in the ring first. Like, Brock, like, half no-sells it. Oba eliminates him. And now we do have a John Cena comment here from the one and only Rick Blade. Which, I do not have the graphic here, but let me pull it up on my phone. Rick Blade will be making his debut for GCW next month at Harrah's in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Rick, we will be talking about if Cena does belong on the Mount Rushmore later on in the show. Because that has to be a conversation had. And that is Saturday, January 31st. Rick Blade making his debut for GCW.
Against?
No opponent has been named yet.
Oh, I thought I heard one. Never mind.
Yowie wowie!
I guess now we have to somehow get a John Cena sound clip, huh? No, we need Paul Heyman singing John Cena's theme. But no, I'm just thinking, like, what's some of the names you would just put up there for him to go through? But I do have another. All right, I'm going to step back. We'll say till summer. Oba Lesnar SummerSlam. Brock going out looking at the lights to Oba. Who's Oba's WrestleMania opponent? Because that's where he would really have to prove himself to have that big credible win.
Yeah.
Jacob Fatu.
No.
The match between them two would be absolutely amazing, and Fatu can pick back up the win at the next pay-per-view. We already know Jacob Fatu's my pick to win the Royal Rumble, but it looks like Seth Rollins' injury has completely derailed all that. Thank you, Seth. Like, you can't do Femi and Gunther. That has to be down the line. That has to be another year. Yeah, that has to be a little bit later.
Huh. I don't know, because right now I'm just seeing Oba.
I feel like Jacob Fatu would be a legitimate opponent. If he's not going to be in a title match, that's another match you're going to highlight between two big guys. I don't know. I disagree with that. I felt like that even him being WWE champion, but since it's a non-title match, it didn't matter who came out first and second. And making NXT look a bit more credible, they knew that Oba was going to get that Oba chant, a la the Goldberg chant. And which I absolutely love that the fans have adopted that for him. Kudos to all the marks out there. But I thought Oba deserved that moment of coming, of being the second person to come out in that. And it makes sense that they bookended it like that because you have the fans happy with Cody coming out. And then you have the fans in tears with Cena leaving.
I kind of agree with the placement. You want to kick off. You want to kick off the show with the biggest pop you can, without using what you're going to be using for the main event. And
Yeah.
I think they did that right with having Cody come out.
I mean, to me, it wouldn't matter. Even if Obafemi came out first, it would have made sense. He's the NXT champion. He's the second lowest on the totem pole there that night outside of Sol Ruca.
Yeah.
At least coming from NXT. Javon Evans would have been... Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they featured 3 great NXT talents last night. And we had the TNA X Division champion on this show.
Right.
In a match against the original NXT champion, or X Division champion. Even if it was in tag team. It's a lot of initials, alright? But I thought they put on an absolute banger of a match. It was a shame to see it interrupted, but that's also why that opened, was because of Drew. Because no other match throughout the rest of the night sees any type of finish like that. Or any outside interference at all, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, come to think of it.
That was the only match I had, which even makes more sense for it to open because they knew what they were going. Yes, that is true. There were rumors of having Cena, that he wanted to be the opening match, but they ended up getting him to be the last match, and he was on, I think, the Pat McAfee show Friday morning when he announced it.
Yeah, you can't have that first because everyone will turn it off.
Oh, I would have been, you know me, I would be coming on here like there's no way that's his last match. As I said, I 98% step back off that, even though I still do believe his final match, even if some 2-minute squash type thing at WrestleMania against The Miz or something, or one of those moments where it's like a tag team match, The Miz and Joe Hendry taking on, or Joe Hendry and Cena taking on The Miz and some random schmuck that he's teamed up with at the time. You know, and it's just some quick 2-minute thing so that Cena could go out on top and they could give Joe Hendry a WrestleMania win after he filled in for KO. You know, like, not a real match, but something just so the fans do see him win one more time. Because, let's be honest, Cena's last 2 matches are both L's.
Yeah.
To Dominic Mysterio and Gunther. Which, again, another thing I will say about Cena. Props to him because of the last literal 3.5 years. He looked at the lights way more than he did in the previous 20 years before that.
As it should be.
You know, he put a lot of people over. And even when he won matches, he was still... Like, imagine if the match with Umaga had been complete trash. Nobody would be saying that Umaga should have won the title that night.
Right.
Everybody, Cena fan or not, would be saying that was the right call. All right, next match from Saturday night's main event to talk about. Sol Ruca and Bayley. Anything from the peanut gallery. Anything.
Anything from the peanut gallery.
Yeah, even
mean-
even the missus is wondering who's going to speak, and she can't hear anything.
Oh, I'm just waiting for when we talk about Obafemi.
We already talked about Obafemi.
Oh, well, see, I'm like 2 matches late.
Well, we opened up with the main event, obviously.
Like I said, I got home from work right before the Cena
All
match kicked off.
Sol Ruka and Bailey was a amazing match. Sol Ruka goes over on Bailey nonetheless, which I did not expect. I thought Zarya would finally turn heel on her. But those two had a really amazing match. Bailey, there is something I will say about this entire show as a whole. The veterans made all the young talent look like, $1 billion last night. Oh, Cody Rhodes, which Obafemi doesn't need help looking great,
Right.
but Cody Rhodes made him look even that much more credible. Because Obafemi could have pinned the WWE champion last night. And God, imagine the comparisons then, because then you compare Obafemi to KO.
Right.
When KO was NXT champion. And who did he beat in his debut main roster match?
Good old Apple Dough.
Just saying. We're going to be throwing other stuff out there, you know. But yeah. So Ruka is going to have a future. I just don't know if it's on the WWE main roster.
Interesting.
And that's really disappointing because when I look at her, she checks every box. But how many times have we seen somebody like that from NXT? And even though they're over on the main roster, they just never do anything with them.
I mean, you got to realize though, some people ultimately
And
are just there to fill space.
But no. I do realize that. But we've seen it with some of the build, you know, of some of the talents that have come up over the years, where it's like they got the Karrion Kross. They built him up as a monster in NXT, and then Vince completely sideswiped that all. And even then, somebody like Karrion Kross, even with a stupid gimmick like that, should have been able to make that work. But no, they have him job to Jeff Hardy, who had his feet on the ropes.
Yeah, the face with his feet on the ropes gets a. Yeah, it just
No,
it doesn't
that's
make
what
any
I'm-
sense.
Yeah. And that completely derailed him. You know? Or like a tag team like the War Raiders.
Right.
You know, there's plenty of guys during that time of call-ups where you're just like, well, and then you see guys like that I absolutely loved in NXT, like No Way Jose.
Right.
You know, absolutely loved that. But I knew it wasn't going to be, I knew he wouldn't be any more than a comedy type thing who might be over with the main roster fans, but not fully, because they would be, at that time, would be reintroduced to. They would be introduced to him for the first time, to where those of us who watched NXT are like, oh, this is good. Okay, it's a shame, but you know, it is what it is. At least he got the call up.
I think the worst case of this has to be the Ascension.
They were already old, though. But I agree.
They like totally took what they were and were like, yeah, throw some face paint on them. Try to make them the Road Warrior.
No, they had the face paint in NXT.
No, not face paint, but you know what I mean. They definitely like tried to like throw accessories on them.
I mean, I got that vibe from them in NXT too. But you know what? That's something to where it's like, at least I'm not comparing them to like, I don't know, the Bushwhackers. Fun tag team, you know. I'm just trying to think of tag teams that were just completely out there and never actually, you know. I hate to say, because they're on their retirement tour, maybe a team like the Headbangers, right? Completely over. But even with the punk rock thing, in the 90s was just like, this is great, but what you're seeing is what you're getting. Kind of
Yeah.
like R-Truth. What you see is what you get. Santino Marilla. Like, Joe Hendry's going to be possibly a victim of that, but I feel like something that he does will just become a staple. Just like that's what the wrestling fans like today.
I don't know because it's not Vince anymore. So, like, you know what I mean?
I know.
It'll
Yeah.
make whoever's writing what's going to happen. It'll make sense to them, and they'll know what to do with it.
I also do think that is a case also, and I think that's sometimes with some guys across the board, wherever, you know. Certain people know how to book a certain thing, and others don't. As example, Raven in ECW. Absolutely amazing. Raven in WCW at times was good, and at times was just okay.
Raven in WWE.
Yeah, at that point, though.
Although I did like the hardcore era.
And that was another thing about this was it felt like this entire show was a tribute to John Cena in a way.
Yeah.
You saw like just the way that the match is carried out.
Even with the Ron Cena and Miz and Joe Hendry segment, like it all revolved around Cena.
Yeah, it just felt like the whole thing. And Bailey putting over Soruka, they put on an amazing match. And as soon as I saw them working towards the finish, I saw it. I was like, oh, here comes the Soul Snatcher. And I think that move, dude, there's nobody else pulling a cutter like that I'm seeing right now.
No, that's an amazing move. That move, it looks better and better every time I see it.
Yeah. Soruka, like I said, I believe has a future. I just fear that she's like Carmelo Hayes right now. Like, there's so much they could be doing with him. And they, in the last draft, the number 1 overall pick. And what have they really done with him?
I mean, that Miz storyline was weak. I didn't enjoy the Miz storyline. I feel like it was just a weird pairing to begin with, and ultimately you knew where it was going.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's been like the curse of coming up from NXT. Like, there's a good chance that you're just going to either get lost in the shuffle or get some bad booking.
Now, I like what they were doing with Mello and The Miz. I wish we would get a little bit more of that to continue that story a little bit more. So I think The Miz is a great person for Mello to work with, and he could be the next person to adapt that style gimmick.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of close to it now. In all honesty.
To a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah, just in his way. Even if you go back and watch his NXT stuff, you still see it. You know. But like I said, there was just something special last night. Soruka and Bailey really added to that. I loved the homage, which it seemed like everybody was doing that. The homage, which, again, as it should be. And then after that, we had Dragon Lee and AJ Styles, as I have coined them, the team called Dragon Style, defeating Javon Evans and Leon Slater. Which Javon Evans had a hell of a week, I would just like to say. He won the Iron Survivor, got robbed for almost beat Obafemi for the NXT Championship until Ricky Saints interfered. You know, like, these teams they went out there and put on a hell of a match. I was surprised they let Leon Slater do that dive over the turnbuckle to the outside. At least on a main roster show. But they really, really went out there and put on their own. And it was a match that somehow, I think on WWE.com, got advertised as a tag team championship match, even though I don't remember them ever actually saying that on TV. I saw fans online talking about it. And I'm just like, you would have made the finish more obvious if you made it for the titles. To where at least in a case where if the young guys go over, which I'm going to say this, even in a loss, they went over last night.
Oh, yeah.
Javon Evans is another guy who I hope that they book him properly on the main roster with his time.
Yeah.
Because I don't want him. He's somebody I can see falling into that Ricochet spot.
Yeah.
Or Shelton Benjamin spot. They'll win gold occasionally. They'll be super over. Or Matt Cardona. Hey, go get yourself over, kid.
Yeah, and there's always that fear, honestly, with anyone who you have your eye on in NXT. Like, when that call-up comes, it's always scary, you know? There've been a lot...
Especially as a fan, when you seen... Like, in all honesty, by now we would have thought Ciampa and Gargano would have done so much more after their NXT run.
Right, and they just got lost in the show. Not that, I mean, that tag team division is stacked, and they're not lost within that tag team division.
No, they're not even lost in singles competition.
Right, but...
Ciampa just gave Dragunov a hell of a run for his money this past week.
You expect more from those guys.
Yeah.
You know, veterans of the business. I mean, they've been around 20 years now, both of those guys. But, maybe not Ciampa, but I know Gargano's been around.
No, they're both up there in age.
Yeah. It's more often than not, they don't use the talent that they call up correctly.
Or it's also a case of, again, why I will continue to say that WWE needs a TV championship. It could be, it might be a title that might not have huge lineage, but it's a title that you could defend, allow to cross all three brands. Hell, allow it to be defended in TNA as well. If you're going to allow it to cross into NXT, the others should be allowed in certain circumstances. And it's just a title that never gets defended on pay-per-view, but we see storylines built around it on TV. WCW did an amazing job with their television title and the people that held it. Especially if you had somebody waiting to say move up into the Cruiserweight or United States Championship picture, but you needed to have them still look credible. You had the TV title to do that. And then you have them get robbed for the title or some quick roll-up upset victory that elevates the next person and they move on to the next program for one of the other major championships. Chris Jericho was a former TV champion after winning the Cruiserweight title. We've seen plenty of credible... You know, I kind of want... Go ahead. You look like you have something to say.
I don't know if adding a belt is the answer.
All right, but I'm looking at this as something that would be special, a special champion, you know. So I mean, I'm also the person who thinks that the Intercontinental title should have been, or the U.S. title should have been converted back over to the European Championship. Especially now to bring that championship back, a quarter of that roster has to be from Europe now.
Yeah, a lot more nowadays.
So just to look at, I'm just going to name Ivan Koloff, former TV champion, Ric Flair, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Mr. Wrestling, Ricky Steamboat, Rowdy Piper held that championship. Now this is back in the 80s, so I'm going to... Scott Steiner held that championship. Stone Cold Steve Austin held that championship. Barry Windham held that championship. Arn Anderson held that championship. William Regal held that championship. Luger held that championship. The Ultimo Dragon held that championship. And then you also have guys like Alex Wright that it helped elevate. Disco Inferno it helped elevate. Perry Saturn. Booker T and his 7-match series with Rick Martel for that championship. That helped elevate Booker T. Chris Benoit held that. Oops. Did I say a name I'm not supposed to say? Whoops.
No, we're not under the umbrella of WWE. We're cool.
Scott Hall was technically the last person to actually win that championship. But the last official champion was Hacksaw Jim Duggan when he found it in a garbage can, and then
then it became the hardcore title, right?
Yes. Yeah. No, that's when they introduced the hardcore title, but it did become the hardcore title. It just took that title spot.
I thought the hardcore title was a smashed up television title.
It might have been the smash. Oh, you mean the belt itself? Yes, that did become the belt itself. But no, the one division just replaced the other because they had to try to compete with WWE and what was left of ECW at the time in 2000.
Oh wait, maybe I'm thinking of the WWE. Yeah, no. I'm thinking of the WWE hardcore title as a smashed up. No.
Yeah, that was the smashed up Wing Championship.
All right, I'm getting everything confused. Gonna have to go back and rewatch some of that.
But yeah, like Stevie Ray held that championship. There's plenty of great. Bray Wyatt's father held that championship. Both Steiners, actually. Tully Blanchard, Nakia Koloff. So, and then when you have other names sprinkled in there, you're like, hey, it's like saying a sports record and your name's now mentioned with all these other names that have done amazing things. If you were going to have a championship that was just something like that could cross into all three brands and only be defended on weekly TV, you're also giving people a reason to watch and see storylines unfold with this championship. Now you have a guaranteed TV storyline every week for any of the shows. Or, like I said, NXT not so much, but Raw and SmackDown would be 98% of it. With the occasional, oh, hey, I'm from NXT and I want to challenge you for that.
I don't think they need another title to book correctly. I just think...
No. It's something where these guys who don't have nothing to do, it gives some of the talent something to do that you can build up to being relevant. Like NXT's doing with the Speed Championships, where all of a sudden they're actually becoming relevant to weekly TV.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of all that.
I love the idea of a time match like that. It's high speed, it's quick, and it's fun. It's not meant to...
I have no problem with the matches, but I don't know, just the whole speed division. Like, I don't think it's really... The speed one in itself, fine. But like something like, what was the trophy that Charlie Dempsey had?
Oh, the Heritage Cup, which Stax Lorenzo we will be talking about shortly, is still considered that champion, just without the trophy. But something like that has heritage and is something from the UK. That was one of the last things left from NXT UK. And stuff like that is a big deal when it comes to the cup. Because, again, that was a stepping stone in NXT either way. was, hey, I have this to parade around for a little bit. Now I get to see if I can make it relevant, make people want to see it. Because if you can't get over with one of the lower championships, how are you going to get over with the mid-card championship or the WWE championship, right?
Yeah. I just see it
I-
all
I'm-
as just an unnecessary.
No. I don't think the idea of adding belts is the greatest idea. But if I'm going to add a belt, I'm going to add something that isn't exclusive to one show. Because now it equals out to everybody. The whole roster can get a shot at it if they want. You don't have to be on that show to have that championship.
Well, isn't that pretty much
And it would
exactly
be-
what Speed is?
Speed's only NXT now.
Oh, now it is? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're now NXT championships.
I got you.
And I mean, we're looking at something. R-Truth with the 24/7 title became the most winningest champion in WWE history. Nobody will ever hold more total championships than R-Truth. Break that record.
Well, I don't see them ever bringing back something a
Like
la the
that.
24/7/hardcore title.
Yeah, that's. And I mean, the other option would be a cruiserweight championship, but they've never booked it correctly.
Yeah, and
I have
honestly,
no
like
faith.
nowadays, guys have gotten a lot smaller. Like the cruiserweights don't look that out of place going up against the giants. You know, and every size in between.
I mean, but that's like even then. You look at like this past Tuesday with Javon Evans and Obafemi. Yeah, but we see the differences in style, and that's what the cruiserweight division was. You had guys like Dean Malenko in it in WCW, who wasn't necessarily a high flyer,
Right, technical.
but he
guy.
could, but he could ground those high flyers. So now it made it even more interesting when he was in that match, or somebody like the Ultimo Dragon who could do both.
Like you know, a guy like Drew Gulak being in the 205 Live division.
Yeah. Like, there's just something to it that it's more of, it's like you look at the X Division now. Originally, that was their Cruiserweight Championship. That was that style for that championship.
Right.
And we've seen what it's evolved to over the last 20 years.
Yeah, it's not about size limits, it's about no limit.
Yeah. So so that's where something to where it's like, hey, imagine if that title was around. Somebody like Carmelo Hayes, who just came up out of NXT's been around, all of a sudden wins that championship. Maybe you put some eyes on it, you know? Something they never really did with the Cruiserweight Championship unless Enzo held it.
Right.
That's the only time anybody cared about it.
Yeah, well, they
En
kinda,
masse.
I don't know, they didn't get it over enough on the main roster before it just disappeared and made it its own show. I feel like they could have taken a little more time to get that over on the main roster. And at the same time, I'm like, I don't want to watch this. Why is this on the main roster? You know, like, I don't know, kind of a catch-22.
I mean, part of me's also always been a fan of that style of match.
I loved it back in the WCW days. Like, that Cruiserweight division was amazing. Even earlier in WWE, there was some...
The light heavyweight division they had a good, and then, you know, it's just WWE's is truly where the big guys go. Like, if you want to be something, but even now you see people who don't think WWE's the be all end all of everything anymore.
Right.
You know, good. That means that people are starting to think like, hey, no matter what, I'm getting that exposure, and that the WrestleMania moment might not be the culmination of a career. But speaking of, like, we're talking about call-ups and stuff, and we kind of talked about earlier, the whole Miz segment, which, by the way, I love that he came out in the gear he wrestled John Cena in at WrestleMania. I absolutely love that. You know, we have him out there talking about still how he should be Cena's final opponent. R-Truth interrupts. We get another R-Truth ball joke. But we find out who the name was that Miz took out and replaced.
And unfortunately, Miz said the name.
And that name is one person that at least I personally believe in. Joe Hendry. And that was fun. That was a fun
Yeah.
moment. And I love that in a way that they kind of acknowledged that he'd been pushing for it. You know, because as
Right.
soon as
Yeah.
the retirement thing was announced and he was still fully in with TNA, he was posting about it. And John Cena was acknowledging it. You know, part of me will always wonder if John Cena pushed for it and they just couldn't get it in there.
There's probably someone like, no, we can't. We have to do this. You know, it was probably kind of a committee thing, and
You know, how fun would that have been if one more time, you know, in this last year, John Cena, even without a championship, a John Cena open challenge. He challenges anybody in the back. And then Joe Hendry appears. That's the exact way that if it had ever happened, it probably should have been done, so that you literally get the Joe Hendry pop.
yeah.
Because wow, the Joe Hendry pop. Yeah. That's it. That's what it is, right? Just like the glass shatterings, the Austin pop.
Yeah.
And I've gotten to experience that. The closest thing I've ever heard to the Austin pop was Extreme Rules when Bray Wyatt returned in Philly.
Oh yeah, I would imagine that.
I was in that crowd. That is the closest that. And I said that to my wife as we were leaving. I'm like, the last time I heard a pop in this building like that, it was stone cold. But yeah, that was a good cool down segment.
Yeah.
Because this card only had 4 matches on it, and I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, wow, Cena Gunther's going to have plenty of time.
Yeah, they gave it a good half hour or so. I mean,
Close
including
to.
entrances. I know it went past 10. I think the match actually started around I think it was 9:42. When I don't know, I could be wrong about that, but yeah, so it got a good at least 25 minutes, and then with entrances a good half hour.
Yeah, because the match itself also did overrun.
Right.
I was expecting them to go off at 10:02 or something like that.
It went. I think it was. I looked at the clock and it was 10:06 when the match ended. I could be wrong about that also, but
yeah, just real quick, make sure I'm keeping myself on. Oh, another thing to talk about, kind of jump ship, because I only have 2 other things really on our rundown. Over in AEW this week, we had the finals on Dynamite for the Women's Tag Team Championships.
yes,
And a team that when we talked about this in the beginning, I was like, could be one of those teams that I wouldn't be surprised to see in the finals, let alone win. Babes of Wrath, Willow Nightingale, and Harley Cameron defeat Mina Shirakawa and Toni Storm, the Timeless Love Bombs, I believe they call themselves, to become the first ever women's AEW Tag Team Champions.
yeah. I really expected the Timeless Love Bomb to win. But yeah, very good stuff. Love me a tournament. And I feel like everything else fell into place with this one.
I said it in the beginning, I wouldn't be surprised to see them there because they're the feel-good story.
Right.
Especially for the first tag team champions. And, the question mark was always Harley Cameron.
Yeah.
Now, do they have a long run? Who knows? We'll see. But they had a great match, and that kicked off Dynamite this week.
Right.
Just absolutely amazing achievement for these ladies to get to be the first ones. That's always something special and something that can never be taken away from them.
First gold for Harley Cameron too, right?
Yes. Yeah, they've really given her like the Mikey Whipwreck style of story. And the fans have been behind, even me as a fan, been behind wanting them to do more with her for a long time because you see all the talent she has, and her ring work was greatly improving, and she's over.
Yeah.
But yeah, a couple other things that happened on Dynamite. We had some Continental Classic Gold League matches. Okada defeated Jack Perry. That was a good match. I will never get all the hate on Jack Perry. I really won't.
I mean, people are going to hate, especially wrestling fans.
But it seems like they've never really liked. But then again, we're talking about the minority that think that they know everything, but they've never actually been backstage or had anything to do with the pro wrestling industry as a whole. It looks like at some point we're going to... Mark Briscoe, man. I love his TNT Championship belt. He had a nice little interview segment that was interrupted by Wheeler Yuta, Garcia, and Shafir. Looks like we're heading down that road of them pursuing that title. Swerve and Page had a great tornado tag team match with Hobbs and Shibata. Yeah. And an upset in the Continental Classic. This was another match that, if it didn't happen the same week as John Cena and Gunther, and it was probably the better match. But Speedball Mike Bailey defeating Kyle Fletcher.
Yeah. That was a very good match.
That is a match of the year candidate.
Yeah.
With like 2 weeks to go. Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston in the main event had a great world title match too.
Yeah. Ended like you would expect.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, what else do I have here? Oh yeah, another interesting thing. Last week, because we weren't live this past Sunday, because we were at wrestling, Stax Lorenzo wins the TNA International Championship at Final Resolution.
Very interesting development.
So NXT has now reacquired a title from TNA. Which all this is leading toward a big cage match this week on Impact. That Matt Cardona got injured and Santino replacing Cardona for that 5-on-5 cage match this upcoming week.
Right.
Very interested to see how that plays out. TNA, who I will say has been doing amazing stuff lately, which also congratulations to them on their new big TV deal with AMC starting the beginning of 2026. It's a beautiful thing to see them on a channel that 99.9% of households get, so that they actually have a chance for their product to be fully seen by fans, and you don't have to go out of your way to try to see it. And it just shows how good they've been doing. This whole crossover thing with WWE and NXT has been amazing as well. Despite how fans will argue it's one-sided or whatever. I'm like, it's really not one-sided.
It hasn't been, though.
Because, and again, I will put this in the perspective of every time the TNA Championship appeared on NXT, instant exposure for the brand. Whether it's Joe Hendry, Mike Santana, or now Kaz, or when Trick Williams held that championship. You know what it did? It made WWE fans be like, oh, Trick is going to be over there this week. I have to now go see what's going to happen next.
Right.
So I know what's happening with this championship. You are introducing the fans to another brand you are working with and doing great work with. Just to the point that even before this, we had Mickie James appear as TNA Knockouts champion in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, a year or two before, yeah.
And then we had Jordan Grace accomplish that. We had Naomi. Did Naomi? No. She just came back before that. We had Joe Hendry appear in the Royal Rumble as TNA champion. At WrestleMania, Joe Hendry, at that time TNA World Champion, took on Randy Orton. And the TNA Championship was seen for the first time by millions of people simultaneously on the biggest show in pro wrestling. If you're going to tell me that makes it all one-sided, how the championships went, well, how else would you book it if the Juggernaut company's coming in? They should be winning those championships, and then the underdog, TNA being the baby faces in the situation, have to fight back to get what's theirs.
Yeah, and even if it were one-sided, it's still exposure. But it's really not. Like, it's a lot of back and forth. The titles, multiple titles have switched shows, It's,
Yeah, now, could a couple of NXT titles have gone the other way? Yes. We did see the Hardys win the tag team titles, but that I felt like was just to add a little bit ante already to a match that was going to be absolutely amazing in the Dudley's Hardys final match.
Yeah. Yeah, that was just to up the stakes on that one.
And also it does give the Hardys a legacy no other tag team has.
Yeah.
But just in the grand scheme of things, if none of that happens, does TNA get this TV deal?
Absolutely not.
They might get a TV deal somewhere else, but it's not with AMC.
Not with AMC. Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to see what Stax does with this and how they book the whole thing. I would love to see somehow, out of all this, Santana maybe at some point come over and win an NXT championship.
Oh, yeah. I'd be all about that.
Oh, wow. Another thing that's happened that we haven't had a chance to talk about on the show, and I just thought about, the return of Tony D'Angelo.
Yes.
Full beard. Oh. How have you felt about his return so far?
He's on a mission. Like, I just want to see how they're going to book this,
Now we know why he was out for so long. So they need him to come back like he's been a lumberjack for the last 9 months.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Like, when someone's away for a while, you almost kind of expect them to come back like a little unhinged and like, just a little different.
And right now it seems there's no clear-cut target for him. But it seems like he is making it clear he's coming for the NXT championship.
And it remains to be seen if he has reassembled any kind of family.
Nope, I think that's done. I
think so too. But it's something we could always see in the future. We could see, some people pop up, help him out.
You know what? I don't want to see that now because he doesn't need it now.
Fair enough. Yeah.
If it happens naturally, like where it just so happens that those storylines are crossing paths somehow, I would love to see him somehow at some point appear in TNA as well now that he's back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like just seeing him go over there and work with like somebody like a Mike Santana. I think they could put on a great match.
Oh yeah.
Would be absolutely great. Let's see, I'm going to skim through some other things. Looks like we're going to be getting a Ray Jr. Logan Paul feud in WWE.
Of course.
It looks like we're also not done with Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Also, just by the way, the whole Becky Lynch thing with her social media stuff, if anybody's paying attention to it, has been absolutely great. Between the stuff with Adam Pearce and her thinking she should still be Intercontinental Champion, has been absolutely fun. Oh, something you might want to talk about: Wyatt Six and the MFT.
Yeah.
Did you get to see any of that from SmackDown this week?
I did not catch it. I heard through YouTube videos, but I did not actually catch the show.
Oh man, they had a great MFT comes out, cuts or Wyatt's come out, cut a promo responding to MFT from the previous week, and they practically call him out. And if you want it, come. And MFT eventually interrupts them on the Tron and accepts the match next week. MFT versus the Wyatts for the Tag Team Championships.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. I have a feeling the Wyatts are going to lose the belts. I mean, the MFT, they have a goal. They want all the gold, and
that would be Cream World Order.
It's creamy world order, creamy world order. It's Mark Angel, Stan Styles, their little faction there. Cannot see that. Yes.
But yeah, we saw the Terror Twins, which I said this would probably eventually happen 2 weeks ago. Priest and Rhea reuniting, take on Zelina and Alistair. Which, boy, that match at the end got a little bit off the rails with that Code Red. Otherwise, I thought it was an okay match. Terror Twins remain undefeated in WWE as a team, as it should be. I thought Javon Evans and Miz also had an excellent match. Upset, Lash Legend actually defeated Alexa Bliss, which, yes, I do consider it an upset.
Yeah. I really gotta do something to try to catch SmackDown now that my Friday nights have been occupied.
Yeah. So, circling back around now. Does John Cena belong on the Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling?
Well, it depends on who else you're putting there.
Or who you're knocking off?
Yeah. Like, in what company?
All right, let's just, if we're going to narrow it to the company, then it's only WWE.
Oh, no. I meant company as in, like, who else is there with it?
If we're just going to talk about names that could be there with him, you would have to mention Hulk Hogan. You'd have to mention the Nature Boy. You'd have to mention The Undertaker. You'd have to mention Shawn Michaels. You would have... There's so many names. Like, would it come down... So, let's just say, for his era. So, because even then, you're talking about also The Rock. You're talking about Austin.
Right,
who,
but more
depending
so...
on who's making the list, or could both simultaneously be up there.
Like, just a general Mount Rushmore super vague, and I could name thousands of people who deserve to be, maybe not thousands, but if it's like from 2002 until 2020, like that narrows it down a little bit more. And if that were the case, got to put Punk on there. Triple H.
Well, you still have The Rock and Austin around at that time. You have Kurt Angle. You have Batista, Randy Orton, and Brock Lesnar. Alone out of that, Shelton Benjamin. Even though not most people will never put his name in that consideration, but just talking about a forgotten person of the class of 2002 from OVW.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely going to be on just about everyone's Mount Rushmore, but everyone has a different, criteria for.
But all right, 17 world championships.
Oh, he definitely has the most accomplishments. Grand Slam, 17, 4-time tag team, multiple-time U.S. title. Like, he's got the accomplishments. He is the most decorated champion in the history of wrestling.
Well, most decorated world champion. The most decorated champion is R-Truth.
You know what I meant. That's a meaningless title.
It's still a recognized championship when it comes down to it.
Yeah, he's up there. Maybe he's not the first person on everybody's, but he's there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when you're looking at it, and even if you're going to have him, and you're like, who do you bump down to number 5? I would say, if you were going to say Ric Flair, does he take Ric Flair's place? Because that is the record he broke. But did Ric Flair still deserve to be there because he's the second?
Right. And just the longevity of Flair's career, you gotta put him on there for that.
And then you have other, like Sting. There's just Macho Man. There's so many names that we're not even mentioning. Like, I would even say maybe like some on somebody's list out there, Ultimo Dragon's in that top 4. And then let alone some of the women, like a Trish Stratus.
Right.
A Mickie James.
Yeah, Archives in the chat has a very good pre-2000
Bruno, Hulk,
list.
Rock, Austin, and take. That's why I'm like, it would be even then pre-2000. I feel like it still breaks up between 80s and 90s.
Oh yeah, and then San Martino in there is going way back.
Yeah. But just to have these list of people that it's a huge deal. Now, my answer is yes. I think he deserves to be up there. It's just a matter of...
In what company?
Yeah, like, are we talking Cena, Hogan, Austin, Taker?
I mean, out of those 4?
No. All main people for their eras.
Yeah, no, I mean, that, with The Rock, like, just outside of that, I think that most represents.
And let's not forget other names like Terry Funk.
Oh, yeah, but he wasn't so much mainstream.
But still, when it comes down, I mean, we can go, and then we can even bring the indies into this if we wanted to, as guys who never got the shot.
Right.
But that's now expanding it incredibly too far of a criteria, to where if we're just looking at, I think John Cena's in the top 4 for 95% of people's list right now. Does that change 25 years from now? Maybe. We'll see.
I mean, I don't think so, because in 25 years, are you going to have another guy on that level? I mean, yeah, sure, someone could come along, but is there time in 25 years for all of those accomplishments? You know, Cena, it was just title after title. You know what I mean? And I don't think nowadays anyone's going to be
feuds.
booked like that.
I mean, I feel like right now where we're at in booking is it's more the longevity of the title reign than the amount of title reign, which in my opinion is how it should be.
Yeah,
But when
because
you
the title reigns just means you lost it that many times.
okay, Jesse Ventura.
Honestly, though.
I mean, you would be saying the same thing if it was boxing, right? Oh, I held the world title this meet, yeah, so you lost it that many times too. But you know what? How many of those losses came because of him not being pinned, or of a champion not being pinned, or something like that? You know, like there's just something to say to it. But the fact that you got to the top of the mountain that many times just means eventually that many times there was a person to knock you off. And if we go back to the Attitude Era, we're talking Austin Rock, Triple H, Foley. We go to the 2000s, we're talking Angle, Lesnar, Rock, Triple H. We get into the full-blown into the PG era, we're talking Orton, Cena, Edge. As like the three of the main guys who are all competing for that world title at the time. And CM Punk. Now, this is also true. If we're going to talk about this generation, yeah.
Yeah.
There's something to be said of that. So if you're going to have this conversation and say somebody's the GOAT, that's like saying Michael Jordan's not on the Mount Rushmore of the NBA. If somebody's your GOAT, that's the greatest of all time. They're automatically on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. And like I've said, I've never been a Cena fan, but I still acknowledge that he is the greatest of all time. Never... And it was one of those things. As soon as I hear the horns and the apple dough, I'm like, all right, here we go. And for someone like that to put them as the greatest of all time, I mean, that's, you know, that says everything right there.
So one could say then,
You just made the list.
haven't gotten to play with them too much today.
We might be hearing that pretty soon, maybe in the next month and a half.
You didn't say that. Tell me you did not just say that.
But yeah, when it comes down to it, in all honesty, he's on the... And I'm not saying he's just on the Mount Rushmore for this era. I think he's on when you talk about who are the top four guys.
Yeah.
He has to be up there. He was the guy who literally built a career on never giving up.
So I got Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, and
Stone Cold.
Yes, I'm gonna go Taker.
That's fair. That's fair.
More influential to me than Stone Cold was.
That's a conversation for another time because I think they were equal. Because when their storylines crossed over, it truly meant something. The same thing as when Austin Rock crossed over, Austin Triple H or Triple H Rock.
Right.
Any combination, it really meant something.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree, but at the same time, the storyline that they're doing is Drew is Drew's worst enemy, and that has been consistent along this entire storyline with him over the last year. Drew is his own worst enemy. That is how they've built the character. If he would step out his way for 10 seconds, he'd see it. Instead of blaming everybody else, he lost to Cody cleanly. It was his fault. He grabbed the belt. If he didn't grab the belt, he doesn't take the DDT to the belt.
Yeah, no, I agree. I never thought of it in that perspective, but no, I agree. He can't get out of his own way.
And it's been very consistent for him because if you look at Drew is at the top of the card right now.
Yeah.
Like he's in a feud with the WWE champion. It's just one of those things. His storyline is he's in his own way.
Yeah.
That's all it is, and he's being a bully to Cody to get what he wants. And it's the typical heel play. Blame everybody else instead of taking responsibility and do whatever you want. Heel
Right.
101. You want
And
to learn how to
everything falls into place perfectly. He's very good at that specifically.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, your match of the week.
100% Gunther Cena.
Oh, Strange Suspicion in the chat is, as always, good to see you. Whoop whoop. I agree, but if it wasn't for that match, I definitely would have to give it to Speedball Mike Bailey and Kyle Fletcher.
Oh, absolutely. That was a very, very good match. Like you said, match of the year candidate.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them this year. Our opinion of what they are doing with LA Knight. Unfortunately, I feel like they're using him exactly how they see him at the moment. As somebody the fans are behind and they just don't want to put a major championship on. I also do think that they're building him toward a heel turn.
That needs to happen. Oh, yeah, and by the way, on that note, we are one step closer to seeing heel Usos in the tag team division. They have reunited as a tag team.
Which I have talked about. I'm happy for it. It's really cool to see.
Now they just need to turn him heel.
Yeah, but it's also one step closer to something else I said that is going to happen.
The Bloodline reunion. Yeah.
But you know what? That would be something to see because even if they say they all win the belts, right? Roman becomes world champion somehow or WWE champion again. They have the tag team championships. It's not going to be a 4-year run this time.
That would just be unwise. I mean, Roman doesn't really, the way it seems at least, I could be wrong about this, but he doesn't really seem like he has too many matches left in him.
No. I think now there's another person that's beaten Brock Lesnar for Oba Femi, the face we didn't mention. Roman Reigns putting over Oba Femi on route to that.
That match ever happening.
I'm just let's look at this. Let's look at it like this. A year ago, we would never say that we would have seen Bronson Reed defeating Roman Reigns.
No, I would have.
And Bronson's way older than Oba.
Oh yeah, but he's also way more accomplished.
But I'm just saying, on that road to going there, very few people have pinned Roman Reigns in the last 5 years. If Oba Femi's name, as I was talking about earlier, having your name on an exclusive list of people who haven't done something, or like a list of 1 or 2 people that have done something, being Bronson Reed and Cody Rhodes, and Oba Femi gets his name on that list, you build credibility there. Even if it's not a clean finish for him. And you have somebody like a Reed, a Breaker, or something happen that cost him the match. Just the fact that Oba still did it is all that's needed.
I agree, but realistically, I don't think Reigns and Oba are going to be in the same building in the next year. Unless it's an airport or something.
Or a production meeting.
Yeah. I feel like they're going to take a little bit longer to let Oba marinate in NXT. And Reigns, he appears so sparingly anyway.
No, I doubt. But I was just pointing it out as another match. If you're building to that Brock match of people that he's faced and either beaten or lost to, You're telling the story, and it's people who would be equal in size to Oba, so that because you can't have Oba going around being up 5-footers for 6 months and then getting a match with Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, and he's not going to seem as dominant if you do it that way. Like, you got to put him up against big meaty men.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. And with LA Knight right now, with them looking like they've written him off after this past week on Raw, and tsunami on the roof of the car, I think we don't see LA. I think we see LA Knight probably return right before or at Royal Rumble,
Yeah.
and from there we'll see. But I can see a heel turn coming for him.
I hope so. I would love for him to come back and just run in on someone and cost someone the match, like, say, maybe a CM Punk, and start a feud there.
Just real quick as well, we saw the debut of LFG winner Shiloh Hill this week in victory over Lexis King.
This kid is nuts, and I love it.
Blake Monroe tapping out the Thea Hale, even though the open challenge match never started. Yeah, we're going to have a fatal 4-way this week on NXT from the losers of the Iron Survivor.
Right.
Since they were all tied to crown a new #1 contender for New Year's Evil. Also, congratulations to Kendall Gray, the WWE Evolve Women's Champion, on winning the Women's Iron Survivor match. Yeah. Lots of good stuff happening, man. Looking forward to a lot of stuff coming up. Looking forward to the fallout of Saturday night's main event. Seeing how everything comes across now. Because now we're pretty much on the road, you might as well say, to WrestleMania, right?
I'm looking forward to the big Gunther promo tomorrow night.
Yes.
And who do you think is going to come out? Because obviously you can't just let a heel go out there and cut a promo and not be interrupted. So who do you think is going to come out?
I wouldn't, but if I would, oh God,
Akira Tozawa.
No, but I don't know how they would work it. You know what? Maybe I pick Brock Lesnar.
Oh, I'd be all right with that.
But I think
yeah,
also that Gunther would be another person you would consider to also be the last person Brock faces on his way out. Because imagine if Gunther, under his belt, gets Goldberg, John Cena, and Brock Lesnar as all guys he beat on their way out.
So now Archives is directing our show, but he is absolutely correct. We don't have much time left, and we should really mention that there was an amazing show last Friday.
Wow.
There's another amazing show this Friday.
And, you know, if you want to hear us talk about that, tune in Tuesday night, 6 p.m., right here at BJ and DG Talk Wrestling. And we will give all our thoughts on what happened this past week. But what I will do to bring it up is I will talk about what's upcoming this Friday at the Pro Wrestling Star Academy for SPO. We will get an update on Pedro Pablo and his condition after this brutal DDT that you are seeing in slow motion by Robbie Illuminati of Blackout. Spiked Pedro right on his head. Let me scroll.
No.
We also have a Tiffany Grady Open Challenge.
Interesting.
We have Daniel Alexander and Amadeus taking on Boom Harden and Sam Reaper.
I was impressed with Alexander.
Which we had an interesting encounter with Sam Reaper this week when we were at the show, which we will show that footage on Tuesday.
We still have that footage? Oh my God. I thought we were going to delete that.
Nope. I vetoed the deletion. And decided that we are running with it. You know.
All right.
Also in competition in a grudge match, which there's a video on the SPO YouTube Shorts and on the SPO Instagram that shows what's been going on with these guys the last couple weeks leading up to this tag team grudge match between the Show Dogs and Mob Hill. There's been some bad blood recently. There was a fight outside of the venue between these two teams, and I am really looking forward to this grudge match. We also have, representing Lineage Pro Wrestling, Devlin Ridley taking on PWU's own Tarzan Duran.
Who, some questionable things happened Friday with Tarzan. I'm not sure how to feel about them, but we'll see if things like that continue to happen this Friday.
That match was just announced today, as it was this next one I am going to talk about, which I am very excited for once I saw this. Charlie Tiger will be taking on the viral sensation Violence.
Ooh, I have not seen this announcement
in a
yet.
special attraction match. I am looking forward to this. It has been a very long time since I've seen Violence in action. And then the main event, the finals for the SPO Heavyweight Championship, with Alex Rivera taking on Phil Winslow from Lineage Pro Wrestling.
This is going to be an absolute banger. Both of these guys. Oh, I'll probably post it on Instagram tomorrow, but I have slow motion footage of Phil Winslow's discus clothesline to Nazir Bailey from this past Friday, and he just absolutely clobbers him. Keep an eye out on my socials for that.
And then we also do have Silver and Gold coming up.
Yes.
Get your tickets at pwunplug.com. Use promo code Ginger. Save yourself some money. We have Hair versus Hair. Pat Dynamite versus Declan Grant. Rematch for the Women's Championship. Mercedes Martinez taking on Tasha Steelz. AEW versus TNA. Angel Metro taking on Vita Von Star.
It's going to be an amazing match.
And a rematch for the Tag Team Championships. The challengers and former champions, the Shot Callers, taking on the Silk City Kings with AJIF in their corner. We have Billboard Billy Gold taking on Rulo with Lavari in his corner. We have Kid Legend and a mystery partner taking on Boom Harden and a mystery partner. We have the Lucha Scramble match with Lucky 13, Pedro Pablo, Joel Maximo, Stife, and who was added to this match, JJ Does, I do believe.
Okay.
And then for the PWU World Championship, we have Ruckus taking on champion Justified, JP Grayson. Ruckus will have Robbie Illuminati in his corner, and JP Grayson will have Dewey in his corner. And you know it's always going to be an interesting time when Blackout is around.
Oh, yeah.
And as I said, get your tickets at pwunplug.com. Use promo code Ginger and save yourself some money. Also, quick shout out to Wyatt Wrestling Club. Check them out on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitch. And then shout out to one of our good friends of the show, Ryan Milky and Wrestle Realm.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. JP.
And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to us here at BJ and DG Talk Wrestling, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. Otherwise, everybody, thank you for tuning in today. You will be able to catch us Tuesday, 6 p.m. for BJ and DG Talk Wrestling presents Indie Spotlight, where we talk about all stuff indie wrestling. But until next time, everybody, be good to each other, and we will see you next week for another episode of BJ and DG Talk Wrestling.
What's good, fans? This is El Tirador, Alex Rivera, also known as the Latin Shooter, and you're watching BJ and DG Talk Wrestling. Check it out. Vaya!